Ladies and gentlemen, today we are reviewing the 2023 Mazda MX-5 Miata Club. Now this is actually the trim that you definitely want because you get the performance goodies. You get the LSD, you get the Brembo brakes, the Bilstein dampers, the upgraded 17-inch BBS wheels, and you're also saving some money over the Grand Touring. Now, for those who don't know, there are three main specs. We have Sport, we have Club, and then we have Grand Touring. So this is that second level. Comes in around $31,000 MSRP. Soft top. This is not the RF. And the question today is it worth $31K? The main competitor to this vehicle is, of course, the Toyota GR86, Subaru BRZ. Similar price point if you get the GR86 Premium or the BRZ Limited, which is the higher trim level of those two cars, then it comes out to the same price, right around 31, 32K. Now this is of course the ND2 Miata, the refreshed version of their fourth generation, the ND, and some small styling updates, but ever since the ND1 came out, both ND1 and ND2 I think look fantastic. Best looking Mazda Miata in my opinion. Very handsome, very modern, while still light and playful and very cohesive and congruent to the spirit of the vehicle. A small, light, purpose-built, dedicated sports car. Now getting into the driver's seat, it is snug. That is the first thing you'll notice. I am 6'1", 170 pounds roughly, and it's a tight place to be. My head is not quite touching this soft top, but it's pretty close. It's less than an inch. Now it's super easy. With one hand, you can literally just drop the top like that, and we're ready to go. Now in this Club spec, the interior feels nice, purpose-built, but you're not getting all the leather and all that premium feel from the Grand Touring, but this still feels like a good place to be. It feels very similar in quality to the GR86 and BRZ. Turning traction control off. Wow. All right, so Mazda Miata, first impressions behind the wheel. First of all, big thank you to Mazda for giving me my first press vehicle, and what a first press vehicle this is. This car is such a riot on these back roads. We're powered by a revised 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, naturally aspirated, pushing out 181 horsepower. The red line has been raised now in this ND2 generation to 7,500 RPM. Now compared to ND1s, that extra oomph, that bit more power, torque, and higher red line makes all the difference. The car, it feels quick now. You're not so powerful and so fast that you're gonna get in trouble driving on these canyon roads, but you're not wanting more. It's a cohesive package. It feels right. Oh, yes. Oh my God, guys, these are the roads that this car is made for. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, so transmission. Woo, there we go, yes. Yes, boys. This transmission is one of the best transmissions I have used in a long time. Now, it's not quite Honda S2000 level, but it is pretty damn close. It's close to 90% there. It is so mechanical, so notchy, slots right in. Even the positioning, it falls right to hand. Beautiful ergonomics, beautiful notchy mechanical feel. It just feels so right. In fact, all of the inputs in this ND2 feel pretty dialed in. I mean, it's a lightweight car. We're weighing in at 2,341 pounds, and the inputs are aligned with that. You have a pretty light steering rack. The transmission doesn't take too much effort to slot into gear. Same with the pedals, the clutch, brake, and throttle. It's all very intentionally dialed in and well balanced. Now going back to the steering, you guys know I love my steering. It's light, which is fine, but it's not quite as communicative as I would like for an EPS. Oh my God, yes. I'm not getting quite as much texture. Woo, there we go. There we go, boys. I'm not getting quite as much texture and feedback compared to some other EPS racks. I would actually say that the GR86 and BRZ steering racks, well, I think the GR86 is actually a little bit better than the BRZ. I would say it's a little bit better than this. However, the GR86 and BRZ have this odd dead spot at the center, whereas this does not have that. So those have slightly better feel and feedback, but this doesn't have that on-center strangeness. Throttle response is beautifully dialed in. It's making these downshifts a cinch. And even doing a double clutch, no problem. Now the thing about the engine is that it's not some torque monster. It's not like it's not like a lot of other modern cars where you're at 3,000 RPM, you bury your foot, and then boom, you take off. But you have to keep in mind, what is the purpose of the car? What is the ethos? What is it trying to extract from you? Because not all cars need that. In fact, if this car had that low down torque, it wouldn't encourage you to wring it out. What you want in a car like this, a purpose-built sports car, a roadster, oh nice. You want it to actually egg you on and encourage you to wring it out. You're making peak power in this engine around 7,000 RPM. And it's a very linear surge, naturally aspirated characteristic that eggs you on to drive it harder and harder. Now, one thing I'm struggling with is my phone is flying all over the place, and the storage space in the Mazda Miata is very, very limited. This little cubby right here is quite small. You don't have a proper glove box, you have a box right here behind you. But that's not what you care about when you get behind the wheel of this car. I do love that this car has double wishbone front suspension, multi-link rear, but the key there is that double wishbone in the front. Because as I'm pushing it on these corners, it's staying more neutral and not pushing to understeer as much as some other cars, namely the GR86 BRZ. Because as we're loading up, as we're compressing the suspension, we're getting more negative camber. We're maintaining a more favorable contact patch of the tire to the pavement. If you're a spec sheet warrior and care a lot about 0 to 60 times and such, this is not the car for you. 0 to 60 in this is 5.7 seconds. But again, it does not feel lacking. This feels good, this feels balanced. The thing you have to keep in mind though is that this is a very small compact car, not just the weight, but even the length. The wheelbase on this is 90.9 inches. That's more than 10 inches down from the already very small and compact GR86 and BRZ. Those are at 101.4. So the car, it feels very nimble and tossable and eager to change directions, but it can become a little bit twitchy. They've also dialed in the suspension to be quite compliant. It's soft, it's comfortable. It's very much at home at canyon roads like this. They're not gonna be glass smooth surfaces. They're gonna have some bumps, but it's nimble and tossable. If the car was too stiff, it would be even more easily upset by various undulations and bump steer and things like that while you're driving it hard. When it is more soft and compliant, it helps to absorb a lot of that impact. Sure, you get a little bit more body roll, It's not quite as flat as something like a GR86. When it's tuned in this way, you're getting the best of both worlds, where you have a comfortable ride, but it's still fun and dynamically engaging as you push it hard. Yeah, you can really play with the weight transfer here and quite easily get the car to rotate and dance with you in a way that you want. I will say though that because that wheelbase is so small and because the car is so light, it's not gonna feel super stable. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on what you're looking for. Again, if you want a luxurious highway cruiser, this isn't your car. This car is made for carving the canes. It's made for enjoying the corners. And part of that nimbleness can be perceived by certain people as twitchiness or as undesirable behavior. But if you're going for a car like this and you want a sports car, it's going to give you a higher degree of engagement because of that. Woo! Low traction, we like. Yeah, it can get a little squirrely on you, but again, that's part of the fun, right? This car is really well dialed in for a canyon road like this. If you were to take it out of the box OEM like this to the racetrack, however, you might find the suspension to be a little bit too soft. But then keep in mind, most people who are buying cars like this, they drive it much more frequently on canyon roads than they do on the racetrack. God, I love using this transmission. And it's again another reason why it's so good that this isn't too torquey of an engine, because it eggs you on to rev it out, and to rev it out you need to shift more frequently. And it is such a joy to use this transmission. Driving this car is truly such a pleasure. Everything is so well calibrated. Everything's so balanced. I forgot to mention the brakes. The brakes feel very well dialed in. They are linear, they're progressive. The car doesn't feel underbraked, and part of that is because the car weighs only 2,341 pounds. It's very lightweight. And with this Brembo kit, you're not feeling like the brakes are lacking by any means. In fact, you could probably even track it lightly, of course. But for canyon duty, this is all you need. I'm really beginning to understand why Miata is always the answer. Now, if this was a single-purpose vehicle, if this was your one and only car, your daily, it could be a challenge, right? I mean, I'm very cramped in here. If I had a passenger, we'd be bumping elbows depending on how big they were. The trunk space is very limited, so you're not going on Costco runs in your Mazda Miata, obviously. But if you are a younger person that doesn't have a family, you don't have pets, and you want a fun, affordable, really rewarding car to drive that also is going to allow you to improve as a driver, because it's a very good learning tool. This is very similar to the GR86 in that way. Then this car is hard to beat. The other use case, so that would be one use case, right? You're a young person, you want a fun car, you're not always going to be able to have a Miata as your single vehicle, but when you're young, you oftentimes can. The second group will be those who have two vehicles, where you have a practical daily, something like a CUV or a sedan or whatever you want, and this is your weekend car, your fun car, when you want to go tear up the twisties. Now, whereas the GR86 and BRZ are more amenable to being your daily driver, your one and only vehicle, they have the fold-down rear seats, the interior space is larger. This car is zero compromises. This car is much lighter, and you can feel that. This car is much more, hey, I want to have a special occasion on these twisties. I want to put the top down, enjoy the wind in my hair. It is a little bit more purpose-built for this kind of experience. And there's no right or wrong. They're both fantastic choices. If anything, we're very fortunate as car enthusiasts to have these choices. But my friends, I'm curious, what do you guys think of this 2023 Mazda MX-5 Miata? I think the club spec is the one that you want. You get the performance goodies without breaking the bank. But let me know with a comment down below. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.